You're listening to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. And now, your host.
Thank you, and good evening, good morning, wherever you may be listening around the world or in the comfort of your own home. I am Paranormal Phil, and it is Wednesday, February 21st, and tonight we're going to be talking about technology and computer security and a few other things, talking about like tech giants, what they're up to, talking about stuff that's coming out or that's already out, and stuff that the mainstream media won't even tell you about. So we're going to talk with my guest Kevin Sisco tonight about all that. So please welcome my guest, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing great, other than earlier with the technology problem.
Yes, we had some hiccups along the way.
As I call them, computer gremlins.
Ghosts of the machine.
Yeah, that too. So tell everybody a little bit about you and what you do.
All right. Well, I am first and foremost, a computer security consultant, and an IT professional, and I'm also a broadcaster on top of that. I work in the realm of mainly dealing with security issues, security-related problems, and just anything having to do with computers. I can take care of it.
Well, that I could have used you a lot earlier.
You're on the opposite coast, so it would be kind of hard to take care of it.
That's true. So let's get into talking about some of the tech giants. What are they up to these days?
Well, I guess we can start with Apple. I mean, I've talked about Apple on my podcast. And that's something that's been in the mainstream media for a while, but they're not giving you the whole story. At least I don't believe they are. I mean, they say they're slowing down the iPhones, and the claim is that it's supposed to help the battery life. Well, let me tell you something. Let's face it. Apple, they're a company. They're not trying to save your battery. They'd rather you bought a new one, quite frankly. It's something to do. It's money. It's all dollars and cents, and
that's the way this world runs.
Let's face it here. I mean, nobody's throwing you a freebie. So they're trying. They want to sell you this brand new thing, And what happened is Apple got caught with their pants down, kind of, and they said, "Oh, we apologize." No, you got caught.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I don't want to say it's a scam, but something's going on.
Yeah, well, especially with them coming out with the iPhone practically every single year, it took me a while to get up to iPhone 7. And everything like that. I had like the iPhone 4 for quite a while. Then it took a while before I got the 5, and a lot longer to get the 6. And now they're already up to 8, and I'm still on 7. So it's going to be iPhone 20 before I get the next one. It seems like just because of the way the price of them these days. And what's up with?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, you'd think with supply and demand, the price should go way down, but apparently not.
Yeah. Well, what's up with Apple's iPhone X? Because I heard that it was going away.
Yeah. Well, they're doing some weird things over there with their operating system. And you know, they're not saying anything about that, but it may be going away. It may not be. I personally don't believe it is. I think it's a marketing tactic.
Okay.
To hurry up and buy it while you can, buy this while you can, buy that while you can. So, you know, I think it's just they see it as good marketing, scaring the wits out of the customer.
Yeah, just get it before, and then
Right.
they'll probably change it from iPhone X to iPhone 10 or something like that, and be like,
Yeah, something
it
like
went
that.
away, but it didn't go away.
Right. Oh, we brought it back magically.
Yeah,
You're going to turn on CNN and you're going to hear, oh, Apple decided to bring back their iPhone.
yeah. Now, are these updates that like Apple or maybe other companies, phone companies, that they put out there, do they really help, or
Oh,
should
yeah.
we be
You know, one thing,
worry about
no,
some of
I
them?
say always update. Always update, because a lot of these updates are security-based updates, and they're fixing vulnerabilities because there are a lot of terrible people out there who could get your information via the phones.
Yeah,
Now, sometimes when you update, you might find you're having a problem. There's a little bit of a bug, and you say, the updates, you can't trust them. No, it happens. But the updates are important. They're just little security patches, they're called. They're just to plug up the holes that may be in your system there.
okay, yeah, because I think I heard one time where people were unhappy with one update and everything
Yeah.
like that, and it's like it's not what they promised and everything like that.
No, it happens. It does happen, unfortunately. You know, nobody's perfect, but you know they really are trying to make it more secure and you know give you the best that you can get. You know.
Okay, now enough about the phones. Let's get into something that everybody's on, which is Facebook.
Right.
Now, what's going on with Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and the whole news feed thing?
Oh yeah, he's rolling out a new method of because we're hearing the term, of course, fake news a lot now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We keep hearing this. It stays everywhere. It's all news is fake news. Well, well, Facebook was under fire a lot for only providing people with, you know, their spin on things.
Yeah.
It's not the real truth. So now they've designed a new type of news feed that's going to give you both sides of the story, and you're going to see the whole piece of the puzzle. It's not just going to be some bipartisan garbage that you see a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to be the whole thing, you know. And so it's going to be actual news as it's being reported.
Yeah, because I know a lot of times I get stories every once in a while of, especially living out here on the West Coast near Los Angeles right now. You see a lot of people posting about, of course, the police pursuits. That's the thing out here.
Oh, yeah.
But
well,
as far as like, are you talking about like? Because I know when I was on Facebook on my phone earlier, I was looking, and they were one of the trending stories was like about SpaceX and the internet satellite that they were supposed to send up today, but because of weather they couldn't do it. So they're going to try it tomorrow. Now, and we'll get talking about that in a moment, but is that what you're talking about as far as the news feed kind of covering more news and everything like that.
Yeah, because depending on what news source you go to, you're going to get a different angle on the same story. I mean, I've noticed it, and if anybody doesn't believe me, try it. Type in a search of a news article, and you'll get a bunch of different sites popping up, and they'll all say some similar things, but there are variations. So you don't know what the truth is. I think Facebook is trying to shed more light on the truth, quote unquote.
Okay, because I know there are people out there that don't believe what Mark Zuckerberg's trying to do, or they don't believe in some news sites and everything like that. And I'm kind of the person that will research things rather than go one side or the other, because I want to know the truth. And if you listen to one side, you're not listening to the other side of the story.
That's right. And what happens is when you do that, you become brainwashed in a sense.
Yeah. Now, talking about the SpaceX thing, what's up with this new internet satellite? Have you heard about that, or talked about anything about it?
It's a communication satellite, essentially. And, there are a lot of satellites that actually kind of control our internet. There's been a whole push to increase the communications, infrastructure, or security, everything. So they're putting these new satellites up there. They have to replace the old one. These satellites, when they burn up in our atmosphere, they do burn out, and you get a lot of space junk. So what they have to do is replace all this equipment in space.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of our atmosphere and everything like that up there in space is a lot of space junk up there. And
I mean, the lower orbit is all junk. I mean, it's like an island almost of junk.
Yeah, so basically, is this supposed to like help the signal for internet access and stuff like that?
Well, it's to replace what we've taken down, because some parts of the world don't get it as well as other parts, and basically we want to make sure that the signal is equal, is evenly distributed somewhat.
Okay. Yeah, just like I said, I was just wondering about that. Now, of course, I didn't listen to all your podcasts, but what is the podcast about the human interface in AI mind reading?
Oh, yes. Well, you listened to a little while back then. Okay. I think it was China that was basically coming up with a way for artificial intelligence to decode brainwaves. And it creeped me out. And I basically, it was based on what we know, the structure of the human brain. And somehow it was supposed to basically read your mind, essentially. Now, I don't know, as far as the hardware, I don't know how they set it up, but that's essentially what it was supposed to do. I haven't seen any more about it.
So it's been a while since
Yeah,
well, it's been a while since I seen the story on it and everything like that. Because I think I saw something about where by 2038, 2050 or something like that, more technology as far as AI robots and stuff like that, artificial intelligent robots
Right.
will be more out there in the society and everything like that, almost like a iRobot type thing. Now, could something like
Yes.
that be a bad thing for us, or
Well, it's good in that. And what I mean is, it's good on one hand because the humans are still controlling it and still programming it. So I don't believe it would get out of control. Bad thing is, they can eventually learn. They can certainly learn from each other at a certain point, and it's very possible that enough knowledge could be gained where they could say, "Hey, we don't need to listen to these rules that these humans are, imposing."
yeah,
I mean, that can happen. It's
yeah,
possible. It's not very likely, I admit, but it is possible. It's something we need to think about.
yeah? Because I mean, especially with robots the way they are now currently, and everything like that. Of course, they're all programmed to do what they need to do, but
Right.
of course, talking about computer security and stuff like that, is
Right.
that somebody can mess with the programming to change that.
Absolutely. And infect it and make it do who knows what.
Yeah, and of course, who knows what our government is doing? I mean, I've talked about stuff like the different projects that our government works on that we don't know about, especially like Area
Right.
51, where there's
Right.
stealth aircraft that was tested there, and everybody, of course, um, thought they were UFOs until it actually came out, and then people understood. But
Right.
what
Right.
could they be testing? What could they be messing with as far as um, like using computers to possibly somebody in the government that doesn't have the people's hearts in mind and everything like that? What could something that they could do to the computers and everything? So that's why I'm
Into that.
thinking about the robots that they're talking about. I mean, there's that one, I believe it's out of Japan. I can't remember the name of it. Uh, it's almost like a life-size human robot. Um,
Right.
can't think of the name off of the top of my head, but I've never heard much more about that robot, and I might actually look it up. uh,
Yeah. I some of them just never leave the lab. Some of this stuff is theoretical and experimental, and it never goes anywhere. And then some of this stuff that gets released um, gets classified, and you'll never hear about it again.
yeah,
And some of it just gets destroyed. So we
well,
don't know.
well, I think it's been making like the rounds in the technology, the tech expos and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's as far as it's gone. Um,
Right.
Now, I don't know. Speaking of robots, I don't know if you saw the one story a while back where
Yeah.
I think it was on the news, talking about the life lifelike robot that wanted to learn. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. They call that supervised learning, where the programmer will feed it a bunch of information, and it sort of has to sort it out into categories, and it learns uh, based on trial and error. So if it fails, it can record that failure and just try again until it gains some knowledge from that. It's like experience almost.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, almost I trying to remember because it was, I want to say, about 2-3 years ago that
Right.
they did that news story, um, where I think it almost wanted to. Um, I think it was almost like, I think it was, if I'm trying to remember correctly, like it wanted to take over the
Yeah.
human race or something like that, and I think they scrapped
Oh
it.
boy, that's
Uh,
disturbing.
yeah,
That's disturbing. I wonder if it gave a rationale for wanting to do that, or it just decided that it wanted to just because it was bored.
yeah. I don't know, because I know, I'm looking at on Google. There's a YouTube video from
Right.
CNBC. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to play it, but it says meet life-size
No.
humanoid robot Mark One, and
Right.
I don't think that was the one, but I don't remember. I know it was something that looked
Yeah.
human-like, uh,
Right.
and of course with the way technology is going, who knows what could
Yeah.
be coming up. Now,
Well, yeah. You
yeah,
never know.
yeah. Now, let's get into like games and stuff like that. That's another one of your podcasts and stuff, and the behavior, because we've heard in the past where people that
Right.
watch these or play these violent games
Yes.
um,
Yes.
or watch violent movies that they're learning from that, and they're actually uh, using that to commit these crimes or these violent acts.
Right.
And is it the
Right.
games or is it just the people?
Well, I think you have to ask yourself, what was the mental state of the person before they picked up the game? You know, it's the old, do guns kill people or do people kill people? You know, I mean, it. You know, a game is really just a game. It's bits and bytes. You know, it's computer code that generates
Mm-hmm.
a story. And you know, if somebody sits down to a violent game and says, "I can relate to this violence," then they most likely have a problem.
Yeah.
And it didn't stem from the game. It stemmed from a collection of their own experiences and, you know, their own past.
Yeah, because I know, like me, growing up in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that,
Right.
we had
Right.
games and stuff like that that could be violent and stuff like that, but we never actually took it upon ourselves to go out and commit mass murder because we played a game or watched a violent TV show or cartoon or anything like that. And
So when you played Pac-Man, you didn't want to eat dots off the ground?
yeah, or like Duck Hunt, trying to shoot a dog with
Yeah.
a plastic gun.
Yeah, with the gun, yeah.
Because I know everybody wanted to shoot that damn dog. And if they
Yes.
don't, if they say they don't or didn't, they're lying.
Yeah, well, I think that game pertained a lot to hunters, but yeah, it really doesn't have anything to do with the medium. But you hear this a lot, where somebody will get a game and, oh my God, ban it from the stores because it has violent imagery. How about you just don't buy the game?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or don't support the company. Don't support the company that puts out this game if you don't agree with it.
Yeah, and of course, the way society is now, I hate to say it, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's gone crazy.
Oh
That,
yeah, it's too sensitive. It's too sensitive. It's too much. Yeah.
but
Unbelievable.
but of course, even that's actually kind of washed out of the news a lot because a while back it was
Yeah.
everything about the uh, games being violent and it was causing problems. and
Right.
now it's a whole nother. They just move on to another thing.
Right.
Now, what is some of the technology that's already out there that we can look forward to, and some of the stuff that we probably should avoid?
Well, there's a lot of stuff in the works that is pretty good, I think. We have these microchips that go into the processors, which go into your phones and other electronics. They're energy savers. Like you have a energy saving refrigerator in your house, or the Energy Star. It's a lot like that, where it's using a lot less energy, trying to reduce the carbon footprint, but doing the same tasks. And that's really great. We want to see that stuff. But we have to ask ourselves, at what cost? What's that causing? What's happening there? Are the prices going to be driven up because you're going to want this? It's just going to be like a status symbol. Oh, you're saving the environment. You have this high-end technology. Is it going to be a status symbol? And is that going to? Are people going to take advantage of that? And are they going to flood the market with this garbage? And again, security-wise, are people going to figure out a way to reverse this technology and consume so much power that city blocks are knocked out? I mean, it is possible. It's something to think about.
Yeah. Now, also, there was a while back, especially talking about like these smart houses and everything like that, and all this technology and stuff like that to try and make our lives better, where people are saying people are hacking into that technology to kind of find out information about us, like identity theft and everything like that. How can we kind of protect ourselves against stuff like that with all this new technology like smart homes and stuff like that?
Well, actually, it's very much the same way you protect your computer. By loading, getting some security software, getting a good firewall, perhaps. Because it's all controlled, computer controlled. Somebody next door can shut off your alarm system. So you ought to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen. And you want good antivirus software. It's same old song and dance. Same thing that we've been told for years.
Okay, yeah, because I know like there are people that'll say, well, the government's using like our cameras on our computers to kind of watch us, and in a sense, yes, they might be. I mean, I can't say that they're not, because I don't know for certain. But what is the possibility of something like that happening?
Well, first of all,
rather than just like somebody off the street just trying to hack into like a smart home, whereas the government doing it.
Well, on one hand, I'd like to say that if you haven't done anything wrong, you really don't have anything to worry about, because I would think that the government is looking for, lawbreakers and terrorists. But, yes, sure they can. And as a matter of fact, I remember hearing years ago, this was in the early 90s, about, a satellite, basically, that could be controlled to zoom in and zoom out. It's a little creepy, sure. But I guess there's really nothing we could do about it. If the government wants to, they're not spying on you taking a shower. They're most likely, let's face it, they're most likely looking for people on these watch lists.
Yeah, if they're watching us take a shower, that's just plain out creepy. But who knows? There might be somebody in that thing that has that kind of fetish or something like that. All right, but we're at the commercial break. We're going to get back to more talking about technology, computer security, and stuff like that with my guest, Kevin Sisco, right after this commercial break. We'll be right back.
All right. Okay. All right.
Remember back when, dreaming about the life, we didn't realize that to get there, there'd be sacrifice. We didn't take into account the craziness of life. Remember setting up those speakers, calibrating lights, hoping that our friends would come support us for the night. And maybe 20 in a crowd, we thought we owned the world. Look at me now, like I was stunting on my old girl. Heard she came through for a bit. I was like, word. Jelaya moved to San Fran, now he's taking over. Mickey and Jason moved to Aspen, their life started over. But when we talk these days, don't feel a day has passed. Still the same sand within that hourglass. Austin, wish I saw you more. I'm happy that you're doing good. Overdue for a team reunion. We probably should.
Are you a ghost hunter and need equipment to go out and investigate locations that have spirit activity? Well, GhostStop.com has all the equipment that you need. They have a K2 EMF meter for $59.90. Or how about a Ghost Rover cam for $199.95? Click on the banner ad at the top of the Talk in the Night website and get shopping today. GhostStop.com, your one-stop shop for all your ghost hunting needs.
Do you have a paranormal team? Are you a small-time author? Do you have a radio show that you would like to promote? Is there anything that you would like to get the word out there about but don't have a big budget? Well, Talking the Night has an opportunity for you to sponsor the show without breaking your wallet.
Everywhere.
Contact the show at talkingthenight@outlook.com or on the show's website or Facebook page for more details.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you have a haunted or cursed object? What Nicole Gaspard does, and in her book Haunted Vessels and Cursed Objects, she talks about her continued paranormal and supernatural ghost encounters, haunted dolls, and other items that are supposed to be haunted or cursed. Pick up your copy today on Amazon.com.
All right. Well, I'm in New Jersey where the weather's always weird, so...
Like I have to go nowhere. If someone ever asks me, I can never say where I will be. And people say that someday I will lose my mind. They're always wondering why is a waste of time. I am trying to figure why. In my heart I still feel fire. Anything that has been done to fix it, or why it takes so long. Why it takes so long. Why it takes so long. Why it takes so long.
Okay, and we are back with my guest, Kevin Sisco, as we talk about technology news and computer security and everything like that. And we were talking about robots and games and stuff like that and smart homes. Now, the thing these days is drones and everything like that. Like Amazon's using drones to deliver and stuff like that. What do you see with the as far as like the drone thing going on?
Well, yeah, I think it's amazing because I forget who, but I forget what country, but they came out with drones that could actually recharge themselves in midair. Using just
I never heard that story.
Yeah, they just use magnetism, and they can recharge in midair. Now, I don't know if they could bring that over here, that technology. That would be interesting. But you got to wonder, what are they drawing from? The atmosphere? I mean, that's disturbing when you think about that.
Well, there's also, well, let's see, getting into kind of like little government conspiracies here, thing like that. But like HAARP up in Alaska sending those pulses into the atmosphere. I wonder if something like that could be used to charge these type things. And
because they're only recharging. Yeah, because they're only recharging, and they're not flying into outer space or anything. Obviously, they're just like airplanes, and they are recharging themselves. So it starts with the drones, but before you know, we could have like a 747 recharging itself. Now, the 747 is going to draw more power certainly than a little drone.
Yeah.
And so again, you have to wonder what are the effects of that.
Yeah, especially with, I mean, we got our military's got drone aircraft and everything like that, but of course they still have to be fueled and and everything controlled. But like with the drones, like Amazon's using, I mean, I know I got a cheap little drone that I have. That can only go like 500 feet or something like that before it loses the signal. But like, I know there's more expensive drones out there, and what is it going to come to that where these things are clogging the skies? And because I know out here in California they banned drones from flying around wildfires and everything like that, because it hampers the water drops and the phosphatic drops.
That's right. Well, the FAA is really cracking down. In fact, if you have one of those larger drones, you have to register it with them. And goodness knows what that takes. And I'm sure there's a lot of money involved with that.
Yeah, because I know people that have those drones that are like 3,500 or something like that. As far as dollar amount, but mine, like I said, I use it around the property where I'm at because it's out in the country, so I can I don't have to worry about it. But going too far, and if it crashes, I don't have to worry about wasting a lot of money. Especially since the first time I flew it, I pulled a Charlie Brown with it, almost like a kite type thing. The Charlie Brown, it hit the ground, it bounced up, and it flew up into the tree and got stuck. I'm like, oh!
Oh, no. Oh, boy. Well, the other problem with these drones is there's a privacy issue, because you can take pictures of these things, and you can. There were already been cases around my area, people flying them and taking pictures through people's windows. And they've gotten in huge trouble for that.
And like I said, that's probably one of the things that gets me with the whole Amazon and some other companies using drones for delivery and stuff like that. When are people gonna? Because I know, like, personal drones, people were saying, "Oh, it's a privacy issue." Well, what about the drones that are being used by like Amazon and like these food companies to deliver food? Because I heard about those too. I would
imagine Amazon has cameras mounted on them. Those drones, they have to know when people are home to deliver. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying Amazon's going to start spying on people, intentionally, but it could be used that way, I'm sure.
Yeah. and I'm sure they got cameras because they got to see where they're going because they're not right there. They're not walking along with it or driving along with it. Just like me, where mine only goes 500 feet, so I would have to follow it along just to keep it in that range. But of course, like you were talking about the drones that are from that other country where they're recharging in air and stuff like that. But getting into some other technology like self-driving cars and stuff like that. What kind of problems can something like that cause?
Well, again, hacking. I mean, it's already been attacks have already been published on these cars. You know, where the engine speed and other sensors could be messed with. You know, I mean, think about all the sensors. Your car has a lot of little sensors. You know, it's got oxygen sensors. It's got all these types of lights and sensors and mechanisms. And if one of those is shot, well, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, especially if we were ever hit by EMP pulse and everything like that. Especially talking about, like you were talking about, like 747s possibly eventually getting this technology to where, I mean, it would be bad enough with an EMP pulse with just the modern day aircraft, but it would be even worse probably with self-flying planes and stuff like that, or possibly self-driving cars.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't even need something as strong as an EMP. There have been cases where airplanes have been hit by lightning and it's messed with the controls inside the aircraft.
Yeah, and especially with, because I know, like with them, they would probably nowadays, if it was messed with the electronics, they could probably switch it to like a manual or something like that. And,
there's an overlap.
And everything like that. But if we get into everything that's self-driving, self-flying, stuff like that, and that happens, we can't control that.
No, nothing we can do. And maybe there'll be some sort of manual override for emergencies. Who knows? I certainly hope there would be.
Yeah, hopefully they think about this, because I'm pretty sure there's been times that they do a trial and error and everything like that, and it just, I think even the self-driving cars had like a problem with them, and they had to push back everything with that.
Right.
Now, what are some of the other technologies, because we talked about drones, we talked about smart homes, stuff like that. What is some of the other technology out there that
well, one thing I like to talk about, it's really my favorite, one of my favorite topics, is quantum computing. Now, I don't know, I'm sure we're all at least heard of quantum mechanics before. You don't really understand it, but we've heard of it. It's basically, you know, classical computing, you have bits and bytes, but quantum computing, you have qubits, quantum bits, which could be not just either 1 or 0, but it can actually be both states. And you talked about time travel. Well, they actually use a space-time continuum model to work with this. And it's very interesting because you could take power from, you know, the elements, crystals. It's already happening with fiber optics. There's a company out there called D-Wave Systems. Google is using their system. NASA, I believe, is. And we've got a long way to go before it reaches the home. But certainly we're headed there.
Okay, yeah, because I think I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Now, like, I want to say it was probably a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you've looked into it or anything like that, but these microchips that they put into dogs to where people can locate their dogs, they were talking about putting them into humans. Is something like that could possibly safe or could be damaging?
Well, they've been talking about that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years, I think. You know, well, most of my life I've been hearing about it.
Yeah, and,
you know,
it just
the days of dial-up, they were talking about it.
Yeah, no, it shows up and then it disappears. Shows up, disappears. Like a lot of technology.
Yeah, it's been theorized, and if they can do it to dogs, sure, they can do it to people. Now, I personally don't like it. You know, the chip itself, I don't believe would be damaging. It's certainly not damaging to the dog. It's a needle. They give it a shot.
Yeah.
But is it necessary to do it to children? I don't know. I think that's going way too far. Why would you want to track your children like that? That's a whole other.
Yeah, well, see,
like
what I'm
Yeah.
getting at is, like, with that type of software in a person's body,
Right.
do you think it could
Right.
cause any problems, or as far as messing with somebody's thoughts or something like that?
I don't think the software could, because the brain isn't wired like that. The brain is an electrical system. It's not a digital processor. But the silicone that the chip is made out of could break down, and that could cause probably all sorts of illness. You know.
Yeah, and and I lost my train of thought, but like if, say, like the capsule broke and everything like that, could I'm pretty sure that, like, the metal that they use for that software could be damaging, especially in the bloodstream, especially if it's something poisonous, because we've always heard about, like, lead and stuff like that, and being bad for us and stuff like that, and it went away. Of course, when I grew up, there was lead in things, mercury and things, and somehow I still survived.
Oh, you were put batteries in the water. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but but certainly could be damaging to the body. And, we don't know what exactly. I mean, but it can't be good.
Yeah. Now, getting into stuff like that, what do you see that might be coming up in our near future, or as far as the technology-wise go?
Well, I think, going back to the smart homes, that we're going to see a lot more of those. That's almost going to be commonplace at a certain point. And you're not even going to use the term smart home. It's just going to be your home. That's how they're all going to be.
Yeah.
And I couldn't give you a prediction how far into the future that would be, but I do believe that on the horizon, definitely. They already have what are called home servers, where you have one computer, centralized computer, control everything in your house.
Yeah, well, like, I know a lot of smartphone and smart homes that you can control things like the heat and stuff like that from your phone and everything like that. Uh, Now, do you see any kind of technology that might be coming out, say in the near future, that might help us along?
Well, we do. I do think this artificial intelligence is here. It's being used in business already to consolidate huge loads of data that we used to have to sift through, and but now, businesses are being run by AI, and it's happening slowly right now. It's a trickle, but soon it's going to be like a waterfall.
Yeah, because I know like a lot of it's been growing over the years and stuff like that. Like with the car companies, they're using more robots to build the cars. Of course, fast food places are doing these kiosks to where they cut down on employees and stuff like that. And do you possibly see something like the way of human? Because I know we'll never get away from having to be useful at some point, but I mean, as far as more technology taking over.
Well, I don't like to use that phrase "taking over" exactly because it sounds like the Terminator, but I think we are losing our humanity a little bit. I mean, case in point, you call a company and it's hard to get a person on the phone.
Yeah, it's always an automated system. I dealt with that earlier today.
It's terrible. If you go to pay a bill, you want to speak to a person. Oh my God, it's torture. And there's good and bad in that, of course. And we have to wonder: are we completely losing our humanity?
Yeah. Let's see. We got 8 minutes before we go into the break. So let's get into a little bit about computer security and stuff like that. How can we? Because I know, like with my computer, I had to run a virus scan. Luckily, no virus were on it. But I know there's people out there, they'll hack computers and stuff and put a virus. Is there anything that, besides what's out there, is there anything possibly in development that could help us with these hackers? Because you hear about a lot of these days about hackers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I get that a lot, and I got to tell you, there is no foolproof one-size-fits-all solution that's going to stop all the hackers and just you'll be bulletproof. Unfortunately, that just doesn't exist, and it never will exist because of Murphy's Law. We all know what Murphy's Law is. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, like it did with my computer tonight.
Right, exactly. Somebody will always find a way to do what they want to do. And you just have to be on your toes, and you have to do the best you can. You have to be as up to date as you can, or try to. And you kind of have to stay one step ahead. And it's very difficult. I mean, security is very fast-paced.
Yeah, especially with things going on these days. Now, like, I know, like, the Malwarebytes software that I have on mine, of course, you have to physically hit the, well, not physically, but basically click on the thing to scan it. Is there any software out there that will automatically like scan computers, or possibly in the future scan things, especially with the new technology coming out?
Yeah, you mentioned Malwarebytes. Actually, that does have a feature where it does run in the background, and it will actively search. And if a virus does come, it will alert you to that. So yeah, it's called real-time protection, and most antivirus solutions do offer that. Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I know I'm somewhat knowledgeable on technology, and I try to stay up with it because I know as I get older, the technology's getting newer, and if I don't stay up with it, I'm gonna be stuck in the past. I want to stay current as best as possible with it, but what are some of the things that we can do to keep our computers safe?
Yeah, well, number one, make sure that they're up to date. That's number one. Number two is make sure you have antivirus software. And I think number three is be careful of links that you click in emails and stuff like that, because there are a lot of hackers out there that try to trick you and say, oh, you get a free whatever. And you click on it, you get a free something, you get a free virus.
Yeah.
So that's, that's...
Yeah, go ahead.
And there are more, I mentioned three things, but there are more. A lot of it is keeping your wits about you. And you got to know the vectors, as we in the business call them, the ways that hackers can get to you.
Yeah. Now, speaking of computer stuff like that, phishing scams, because I know I get quite a few of those emails, and I send them off to I get phishing scams from PayPal and on a email address that I don't even use for PayPal. I got 10 email addresses. It gets hectic, but each one's got a different thing that they go to. So, but like I said, I forward that email that I know is a complete phishing scam off to their spoof at PayPal and stuff like that, so that they can look into it. But of course, I constantly get them, and it's like, really, do you guys not do anything to detect these things and get rid of them?
Well, I've been on that end of it, and it's very hard to keep up because there's so many of them out there. There's just so many, and they're going to keep coming, and they're going to come out with new ways to get to you, to scam you, to get your passwords or your credit card information or whatever.
Yeah, and of course these days we have to be wary of that type of stuff, because if it's technology is kind of learning in a sense, where it if you're watching something, you'll on Facebook, you'll see an ad for that thing. And is that something almost like a phishing scam, or is it just ways of marketing?
Yeah, it's a marketing tool. Unfortunately, sometimes companies will use spyware as a marketing tool to look at your browsing history and put their product right in front of you, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And it gets weird, but we're at the top of the hour. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with more with my guest, Kevin Sisco, and we'll open up the phone lines where you can ask him questions, your technology questions. We'll be right back.
All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want that.
When you feel like you're all
real-time talk shows, then you must tune in to Night Dreams Talk Radio. UFOs to Bigfoot. Did we say black-eyed children? You'll find Night Dreams Talk Radio on TuneIn, iHeart, iTunes, and all the major apps. But on TuneIn, they're live 7 to 9 p.m. West Coast time starting in February. With all the major guests, Night Dreams. Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Well, tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Talk in the Night Facebook page for Ask Paranormal Phil. The show is a Facebook Live show where he gets into different topics about the paranormal and answers your questions. That's Ask Paranormal Phil every Tuesday night, only on the Talk in the Night Facebook page.
Do you have a talk radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube show and would like guests for your show but don't know where to go to get them? Well, go to radioguestlist.com and sign up today. They have all different experts in different fields, and you can find the ones that are just right for your show. That's radioguestlist.com. Sign up today. It's free.
All right.
Call into the show, Skype Paranormal Phil, or by phone at 951-223-5055. And now, back to Talking the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we are back with my guest, Kevin Sisco, and we have the phone lines open if you want to call in and ask Kevin a technology question or computer security. Now, as I was mentioning during the commercial break, we were talking off-air, kind of, to where the listeners couldn't hear us. But I had a question earlier in the chat. We were talking about self-driving cars and stuff like that, and the listener asked, how do they know when to stop, etc., as far as, like, stoplights, or, because I know there's this technology out there where they can sense like a car and everything like that.
Yeah, they can. They use a combination actually of technologies. First and foremost, they use similar to what GPS uses, satellites. They get help from satellites, but also some of the roads have contacts in them. That can actually send a signal to a sensor, and will say, "Oh, there's a car from me," so they can try to avoid it, even go around an accident.
Yeah, because I know, like I mentioned earlier, that they had a problem with the self-driving cars and stuff like that, and I'm not certain because I'm not that great on technology, but I know, like, it seems like it's just mostly the sensors in the car alone.
Right. Well, we all know that there are cars out there that they're not self-driving, but they can detect when something is behind them. Mm. And essentially, it's the same sort of thing, where it's almost like a radar technology, and they can sense heat and all sorts of different things, and that goes to a sensor in the car.
Yeah. Now, because I know, like, newer vehicles got the backup camera and stuff like that, where it beeps when you're too close and stuff like that. Is that kind of some of the same technology that they would use in self-driving cars?
Exactly. It's just all that is taking that technology and running it through an artificial intelligence, an AI algorithm, to decipher some other information, like what objects are around, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I know growing up and stuff like that, and I still, I've had cars where I've even used a van that had the backup camera and stuff like that, and it's like, why am I using this? I'm so used to driving, looking at the mirrors, the backup, and everything like that, and it's beeping. I'm like, come on, there's nothing even close. Quit beeping. But I'm so used to driving or backing up with like a mirror and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're always going to have to do that. They're never going to take that out of the laws, I don't think. You're always going to have to check your mirrors.
Now, with self-driving cars, do you have an idea on, like, let's see, I'm trying to think of the movie. I'm trying to think of, I think it was Demolition Man, where the police cars were self-driving, kind of autopilot type thing. But it's been in several type of movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But do you see like that technology coming around?
At some point, I don't know when. They already have taxis that could do that. So, it'll happen. Not right away, but it will happen.
Yeah, because I know there's, I've seen the commercials and I'll turn on my TV after the radio show and I'll see that commercial. Just because I'm talking about it. But where the vehicle kind of, it's park assist and everything like that, where it'll help park the car without having to touch the steering wheel.
I think it's the Escalade that can park itself. I'm not sure. It's one of those high-end cars, one of the luxury cars that actually will park itself. That it will look at the cars around it. It can maneuver into a space.
Yeah. Now, is that something almost like the beginning of like self-driving cars?
Yeah, that's like the beginning. That's an example of what you can expect. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, now I had a listener ask the question, how about flying cars? Is that going to ever happen? Because we've heard people that we were supposed to, back in the 80s, 90s, people talking about the 2000s will have flying cars and stuff like that, and there's been talks of it and stuff like that.
I personally, I don't think we're going to see that because that would entail so much, because there's a lot of safety with that, a lot of safety issues, and you'd have to not just get your driver's license, but a pilot's license, I would imagine.
Yeah, because I know I've seen cars out there that are modified to where they got the wings on them and stuff like that, and stuff like that. Of course, you have to have the pilot's license along with the driver's license.
Right.
But what they're thinking of is almost like the Jetsons.
Yeah, the Jetsons, where it's like a, I don't think it'll be, I don't personally see that happening, but, listen, you never know. You never know. You really don't. I personally don't believe so, but I can be proven wrong.
Yeah,
at any given moment.
Anybody can be proven wrong. They'll find a way to do something like that. It might turn out bad.
I mean, somebody could modify a car in their garage to fly. Who knows? You know.
Well, like I said, that I've seen cars that are modified to where they have the wings like a regular plane, but as far as almost like a Back to the Future, or what's the name of that movie?
Yeah, well,
The Fifth Element, where cars are flying around.
That was a great movie. Yeah.
But now if we ever got to that point, would they use the technology that we're working on with, like self-driving cars, to kind of tell when you're too close to a building or something like that, if you're flying through buildings and stuff like that?
Well, that seems like a job for air traffic controllers. Now, if you're talking about flying cars, then the cars would have to have some sort of transponder code, and then you'd have to communicate with air traffic controllers and airports. And
yeah, and I see a lot of bad things happening with something like that. But who knows?
Especially
I mean, maybe the technology will get to the point where we can actually eliminate planes and stuff like that, so we don't have to worry about running into planes.
I could see hover cars that just sort of hover over the street. I could see that more than I would see actual flying cars.
Now,
but even that was dangerous, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that because I think there was a while back, I saw something about where, and I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but almost like building solar panels into the roadways to kind of help, because I know there's all this talk about fuel efficient cars and stuff like that, and there was that talk about solar energy cars and stuff like that. Of course, they're not going to go very fast, especially if you got a storm. You're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. You know, much like the electric car, it's not perfect. But I mean, again, this is something that had been talked about for a long time, about the solar panel, putting them actually on the car itself too. That I remember that being talked about.
I know it was quite a while back when they were talking about the whole solar panels in the roadway, but I heard it like for a week or two, and then it just kind of disappeared off the map. It's like, because there's been times like in the city I grew up in, they were talking about bringing back like streetcars and stuff like that, and they wanted to bring it back, but I think they decided, okay, this is just going to cause a traffic nightmare, and everything like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I'm surprised it's never been tested. You know, they've talked about it, but they've never actually tested it.
I don't remember them ever testing it. They just talked about it.
Right. So I have to wonder if somebody maybe just said, "No, this isn't feasible at all."
Now, another listener asks, "What about using? Is there some kind of technology out there that possibly could allow for, like, of course our cars use gas, most of them do, unless they're the electric cars, but what about technology that would using like gas vapors to something that could save on gas mileage?"
That almost sounds like a nitrous oxide type of thing, which race cars already have. the rocket boosters almost, and where it's a quick burst of fuel. It's just a fuel ejected, just a quick burst. I think because of the nature of gasoline, and I'm not a chemist, but I don't really think that would, because you'd have to sustain, you'd have to have a constant stream. I don't know. I don't know if that could. Who knows? They might come up with something like that may not be gasoline, but probably some other element.
Okay. Now another question. And I know we talked about robots and stuff like that. Listener asks, will there be almost like, do you see possibly something like robots like from the movie iRobot?
Yeah, absolutely I do.
Where they're in everybody's homes and everything like that to assist and stuff like that.
Oh, sure. In Japan, there are already robots in people's homes in Japan. And they do various tasks.
Everybody seems to have like a robot in some sense. I mean, people have like Roomba and stuff like that, but I'm talking about the humans, lifelike robots.
Right, like the movie, and I do see that happening down the road. Absolutely. Don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but if
it happens tomorrow, I'm leaving the country. I'm going to my own private island. Forget this, I'll find my own island and be out there. But yeah, no. Like I said, we talked about even with the software, of course, they're going to be programmed and everything like that. And that programming can be manipulated.
Right.
And is there any way, if it does get to that point where we do have these lifelike robots in our home and stuff like that, or in every home and stuff like that, will there be like a software out there that will help protect against like viruses or something like that?
Oh yeah, like security software for the robots? Sure, there would have to be. I dare not release such a thing without it. It would be very irresponsible not to have something like that, I would think.
Now, talking about iRobot, now we talked about them learning and stuff like that. Could something like that even happen where the computer learns to where it would actually control the robots?
Right. And you remember in the movie how it was based on these 3 fundamental laws. You can't harm humans and you have to serve them and all that. And the computer in the movie decided, well, those rules are garbage because people can't look out for themselves, And yes, it could get to that point if we don't control that. We can make sure it doesn't get to that point. We can step in and put safeguards in place to ensure that it doesn't get out of control.
Okay. Now, there was something I was going to talk about, and I was hoping my computer don't play this darn video. I don't want it playing. Losing my stream. Hold on a second. My computer's being real stupid. It's reconnecting. It's the computer gremlins. I'm sorry about that.
All right.
There we go. There we go.
You can hear me now. There you go. Right? Okay, good.
Yeah, I can hear you. But we were talking about I was asking about the Elon Musk, the tunnels and everything like that. Now, what is your thoughts on those, like where the cars can be put onto these almost like tracks and
Right.
tunneled through underground, almost like subway, where you don't have to drive them. Basically, just go from point A to point B and so forth.
I think that would be smart, to have the smart vehicles have their own lane, because nowadays it's so congested. I think that would clear it up, sure, but you'd have to build sort of an underground highway, and it makes sense.
Well, it's according to the story here, it says Elon Musk company gets okay to dig Washington D.C. Hyperloop tunnel. I guess to travel through different parts of the city rather than use the subway.
Right.
You don't have to go into a crowded subway thing. It's just like the car is. I don't know how it works, but
right.
I don't know if it's like you're lowered into, because I've seen videos where the car is driven into like a home, one of these high dollar mansion type things, and it just lowers it down into the garage. I don't know if that's the case or something like that.
Right, like hydraulic arms that lift it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get back like up into Streetville, but would something like that be better than possibly like self-driving cars or flying cars?
I don't know if it necessarily would be better or worse. It sounds like it sounds a lot more involved to me.
Yeah, especially since we would have to dig new tunnels and all these things where it would come where the thing trying to figure out where the thing would come out,
right.
And like what happens if you miss your stop and everything like that.
It just doesn't seem feasible. I don't know.
Now, of course, there's another story here. Of course, talking about the Terminator and robots and stuff. This electronic skin may help prevent robots from crushing us. And I don't know what it's all about. I'm just reading the headline. But I'm trying to think of how to put this. But could like well, let's go back to the movie iRobot, where the metal was denser and stuff like that. Is that possibly something what they might be thinking about?
Yeah, like a thick alloy that you could put like a alloy coating mixed with a different metal blended, and you could, in theory, come up with this super thick, like I said, alloy material, this unknown metal, and that could be the future. We could basically have a whole new type of material.
Yeah, and
so I see that. Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, now, what is your thoughts on like, of course, we talked about SpaceX earlier, with the technology that they have to where they can actually send these rockets up into space, but land these booster rockets back on the ground or onto a platform. Is that like using like a GPS type thing to control these?
The boosters? Well, they're solid rocket fuel, so they just drop. But
what they're doing is like landing the rocket back onto a platform to where it's so they can reuse it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they used to just burn up or land in the ocean. But they must be using some sort of heat signature, I'd imagine, to get it just right, almost like a missile that doesn't explode on impact. It just lands on the platform. And, of course, they'd have to wait till it cools to even touch it. Because when something goes through the atmosphere, it's pretty hot. So,
yeah. Well, I had somebody that worked in a guest on the show that worked in the NASA space program. Of course, when the Challenger and Columbia and stuff like that blew up. And like I said, the technology that SpaceX has with the self landing rockets, so that way we can reuse those rockets. I'm just, like I said, I'm just wondering if it's like almost like some kind of system inside the rocket that where the fuel isn't, to where it almost like a GPS to help it guide it to that platform or that landing
there's
spot.
There's got to be some sort of beacon, or maybe it's programmable somehow.
Now, a listener asks, are computer chips and like human heads possible to help with like memory and stuff like that, or something like that, or help with thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, help with memory loss, perhaps?
Quite possibly.
Well,
or to make, or as the guest said, make humans smarter. I don't know if that would. I don't see something like that happening, but
no. Like a lot of people talk about a singularity where we'll have all the knowledge in the known universe, and I don't see that happening because again, the brain is biological. It's an electrical sponge. It's not digital. It can't process, because a digital wave is straight, it's a 1 or a 0, whereas an electrical wave is curved, more like a wave. So it's a totally different thing. Now, there are brain-human interfaces where they've been able to help paraplegics, move a hand by thinking about it, or something of that nature. That's been around for a while. But as far as increasing memory, well, no, memory is too complicated for that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Now, let's see if I can click on this, but do you ever see, like, especially with these new satellites that are supposed to go up in the atmosphere for helping with internet, do you see them as possibly disaster-proof or disaster-proof satellites, or disaster-proof internet, such as like like we were talking about EMP pulses and stuff like that. Something that could protect against something like that.
Well, it has to have, with outer space, there has to be shielding from that environment, because there is a ton of radiation, there's a ton of, so there definitely, all satellites have to have some sort of extra shielding. I would think that satellites dealing with communication or, internet would have some extra protection for when it does burn out in re-entry. So there's a whole list of other problems that could go on up there, because it's a dangerous place. Outer space is not exactly the safest place in the world. So.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna go into the last commercial break of the night, but we're gonna get more into the internet and the satellites real quick after this break, and more phone call open lines where you can call in and ask my guest questions. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna make it now. Give me some time and you'll see me up on stage somehow. I'm working every day. Okay. I'm working hella late. Right. I'm working cause it's worth it. Once you make it, then you play. Yeah, I'm never slowing down. I'm gonna own this town. Live by the saying that your time is lost but never found. Okay. Let's go another round. Make them give up the crown. Nah, I ain't playing, man. I'll take it, so just give it now. Yeah, I'm gonna work hard, play hard. Yeah, I play my first card, ace hard. Yeah, they know I play smart, play hard. We don't have the same star, we don't have the same cards. Yeah, it's not the hand that you dealt. Nah, it's how you prove it to yourself. Nah, you don't need any wealth. Gotta live your life, work hard and excel. Yeah, don't be looking for their help. Look inside of yourself for the wealth. Keep your mind and your body.
Do you want to know how to attract love, money, jobs, success?
That is an interesting.
Well, check out livelifemadeToOrder.com. If you go to the products page and mention Talking the Night, you will get 50% off of your order. That's livelifemadeToOrder.com. Be sure to check out the show's website at talkingthenight.weebly.com for some great content such as Story of the Day, This Day in History, and much more. Also, if you missed the show, check out the show's archive page under the radio show tab where you can find all the shows listed. And be sure to sign up for the Talking the Night newsletter. Would you like to take part in a special live broadcast of Talking the Night?
Yeah.
A meet and greet with me and David Ullman? And how about a 6-hour ghost investigation at the Ullman House, which has been featured on paranormal TV shows such as Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal Witness, Haunted History, and My Ghost Story? Well, go to Talking the Night on Facebook and click on the event and get your ticket today before they sell out.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Me, I'm not a morning person either, but I kind of have to be because my, my show is my day job actually. So I pretty much I have fun. Yeah. It does. All right.
To call into the show, Skype Paranormal Phil, or by phone at 951-223-5055. And now, back to Talking the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we are back for the last segment of the show. And before the break, we were talking about satellites and internet. Now, I wanted to ask this question. Do you see anything in the foreseeable future in regards to internet where we don't have to rely on satellites to provide that?
Well, we're trying, because right now we don't rely exclusively on satellites. To tell you the truth, we rely on a combination of satellite technology and our routing technology down here on Earth. We haven't come up with a way to cut satellites out of our lives, but I think that we're trying to work towards it.
Okay, now the question I had in the chat room, and it's about VR games and stuff like that, but could we possibly one day see stuff like from Star Trek, like holodecks?
Yes, we technically have hologram technology. It's been used in the entertainment industry. I think it was Michael Jackson. I think it was after his death, they had a hologram go on stage and do a concert. So, yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah, because I know, like, I believe it's almost like the Pepper's Ghost effect. I think is what they kind of use there.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, it's not going to be exactly like what you see.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Do you think we might ever see that kind of technology to where we can step into a room and it just feels like lifelike? Almost like stepping into virtual reality without the virtual reality goggles on.
Yeah, aspect where it's actual reality at that point almost.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we are going to go there, we have a very long way to go. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I'm sure we do.
I don't think we will just because I think there'd be a lot of concerns about people starving to death because they were spending too much time in this reality. You know?
Now, what? Speaking of virtual reality and stuff like that, and like these virtual reality games, now I know I've during Halloween at the amusement park I work at, we've been doing virtual reality things and stuff like that, and of course, it takes a while to get used to. I went to reach for a thing that wasn't even there. I almost fell forward, but I put my hand out to like reach for a rail, and it's like, oops, wait, sorry, not real.
Yeah.
But let's see, where was the question about the virtual reality? I can't remember. Let's see, because I know like they'll make people dizzy and stuff like that.
Sure, motion sickness. Yeah.
Because I spent time in the Navy. I never got seasick, but I got lightheaded just from using virtual reality.
Right.
Let's see.
Well, vertigo is a very real concern.
Okay, now what about the listener asks? What about virtual reality? Is it going to be big in this world, or what do you think? Or do you think it might go by the wayside?
I don't believe it'll leave the realm of gaming. I mean, I've heard of rehab facilities like drug rehab using it. If you know who Dr. Phil is, everybody knows who Dr. Phil is. He works with
I actually went to I do paranormal ghost tours out in Beverly Hills every once in a while, and the house that I go to, you can see Dr. Phil's house from there. So I've run across Dr. Phil a couple of times, not personally,
okay.
But I saw him driving while going to that house because his house is up there.
Well, he developed he worked for the team that developed the virtual reality kind of a rehab facility, which would, put the patient in a stress situation where they'd have to not drink, or not do a drug. So, mostly virtual reality is gaming, but it's used obviously in rehab a little bit. I don't think it'll go beyond what we see in science fiction. I don't think we're going to see that.
Okay. Now, another interesting question from a listener. What about, because we talked about virtual reality and games and stuff like that, but what about social media using virtual reality?
Well, again, Facebook has a lot of games and Twitter and all that stuff. I could see that happening. But again, I don't see it happening outside the realm of gaming.
Okay. Yeah, because I know, like, we can, now with Facebook Live and everything like that, and we can connect with other people. I mean, it's almost like a virtual reality there, but without the goggles and stuff and without getting dizzy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But,
yep.
But let's see, I'm trying to think of how to put this. But almost, so you basically saying nothing like Star Trek hologram type technology.
I don't see that happening. Boy, it's fun to think about.
Yeah, but, and somebody's probably listening. Ooh, let me think of how I can do that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know I've thought about it. I mean, as a programmer, I always like to sit down and explore new ideas, But I don't think we're there yet. I just don't.
Yeah. Now I forgot what I was thinking, but now, do you see like virtual reality being used for? Well, I think there is something like that where virtual reality can be used for watching movies or looking for pictures.
Where you're in I think they have virtual reality sporting events where it's almost like you're actually there. It's right in front of your face, sort of. And it feels like you can interact, but remember, you can't really interact with it. It's virtual reality.
Almost like the haunted house type virtual reality thing that I was talking about, where I actually reached for a railing that wasn't there.
Right, exactly.
I tried to interact with it, and it did not work.
Right.
Because I wanted to get my balance and everything like that, and it's like, wait, I'm just walking. Because I saw the layout that they had us walk the thing because it was designed for that thing, but I wanted to grab like a railing to like, okay, or a doorknob or something like that.
Yeah.
But so you basically don't see where it's almost like Star Trek as far as like you're in that virtual reality and you can actually open a door.
No, hey, listen, or actually walk into a room I don't see it happening. At least not in my lifetime. Who knows? I could be proven wrong on all these things.
Yeah.
But I personally don't see it happening. There'd be so much that has to go into that.
Now, there's another type of thing that I heard about a while back, and I have not heard it much more on it. But do you have any thoughts on like the CERN Hadron Collider and everything like that, and that technology, what that could be used for?
Well, what they do is they break apart. They're trying to see that moment of creation where matter is created. They're trying to see what does that, what sparks that. And I think it's interesting. I don't.
Sorry.
I think it's led to more of an understanding of, like I talked about before with quantum computing. I think maybe it's opening the door to some sort of, not time travel exactly, but sort of like a viewer only, observer only, where you don't interact with it, but you see it sort of like a dream. And you can literally look into it and maybe step into it but you can't change anything.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, I talked about time travel last night, and where if we were to go back into the past, Dr. Michio Kaku talks about it, where that it's like a river, it forks and stuff like that, and you're gonna end up changing somebody else's timeline, but not your own timeline.
Right. Well, yeah.
But I mean, they talked about, I believe, if I remember correctly, about creating a black hole because of that CERN Hadron Collider and everything like that. And of course, when talking about time travel, they believed that the black hole could be almost like a wormhole.
Yeah.
Do you think anything more is going to come of that study, or do they?
I mean, if it were to create a black hole, we wouldn't. There'd be a very good chance that we would be ripped apart. Black holes are pretty dangerous, but there have been lab-created tiny black holes. An atom bomb, actually, the explosion of an atom bomb creates a black hole, a very small one.
Okay,
but
that's something that I never knew.
yeah, of course, nobody would get close enough to one, but yeah, the explosion can cause, it's more of an implosion, really. But I don't believe that the Hadron Collider is going to be sort of a time machine sort of scenario.
Okay.
It's pure, I think it's just experimentation, that's all.
Okay. Now, another listener asks, is there going to be a way we can, like, record our dreams? Any kind of technology that might be able to do something like that?
I've fantasized about that a lot. I think it would be so cool if we could replay our dreams on a DVD or something the next day. Because we all have
that would be interesting.
We all have weird dreams. You try to explain them to people.
But it might be scary in the same sense, too.
It might be scary, although you might not be scared when you look at it in another light. So it could actually help you to maybe, conquer that.
Now, what about, because I posted a story on my website a while back about like the movie Up and everything like that, where the collars on dogs to where they can speak in our language and everything like that. And I've seen that they're actually coming out with that kind of technology. Do you think that is going to come to fruition, or is that just more of a test type thing, or have you even heard about it?
I haven't even heard about that. That's very interesting.
I had to send you a link to the story.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. It sounds, I guess your messages get decoded and I don't know. I mean, that's interesting. That's theoretical. I don't know how that would be used, or but that's like I said, never heard of that. That's new to me.
Yeah, like I said, I'll send you the link as soon as I can find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know they were talking about testing like these collars where these animals could speak our language and everything like that.
Oh, boy.
Let's see if it's still I want to see if it's still on my show's website, because I delete my I got like I want to say about 16 past stories, and then or 8 or something like that. and then they just get deleted and everything like that. But
yeah.
let's see. Nope, it's not there. So I'll have to find the link and I'll send it to you. But it seems like it would be something interesting that that would where we could actually figure out what our animals are thinking.
I always wondered what my cat was thinking.
Now, let's see. I'm trying to figure out what the listeners are saying here as far as the question. Let's see. Yeah, like a chip they put in your ear or clothing and everything like that. Because I know they do have like chips out there in clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Oh, I know the military tested chips in soldiers at one point. As a tracking kind of GPS type of thing.
Yeah, I know that scares a lot of people and everything like that, where they put these chips in people and they can be tracked and stuff like that. Yeah. In a sense, it would be good as far as like tracking like terrorists or something like that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, somebody again could hack into that and possibly track your every move.
Right. Exactly. And as I said, the chip could break down in the bloodstream and poison the person.
Yeah, there's so many pros and cons with everything. Of course, with technology, you have to look at every aspect of it. So we're almost out of time. Give the listeners where they can hear your podcast and find out about your show and everything like that, or where they can contact you at.
Yeah, listen. Just go to kclive.gbj4.us. You can email me through that website. Anything at all about the show, about anything. I'll talk to you all day. And you can, listen to the previous episode as well as an archive of past episodes. And, check that out. I also co-host The Party Zone at thepartyzone.buzzsprout.com. You're going to want to check that out, too.
Okay, yeah, and I do have your site linked up to the Talk of the Night page, so people can check it out there at talkofthenight.weebly.com. So, how often do you do your podcast?
It's once a week. It's every Thursday. And there was a week where I had a little technical mishap that I skipped, but for the most part, it's once a week, and I discuss stuff you're not going to hear in the mainstream media.
Yeah, and there's a lot out there that we don't hear about in the mainstream media. We end up finding about through somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
So I want to thank you for being on the show. My listeners are they love it and everything like that. They found some helpful information and everything like that. And stuff like that, and a lot of great questions from the listeners. So, especially about the hologram, I would actually love to see that come to fruition, but I don't think it's going to happen, or at least not in my lifetime.
Right.
So, thank you again for coming on the show and getting that technology. If you want to find out more about my guest, Kevin Sisco, click on the show's website, talkofthenight.weebly.com. There's a link to his page on if you click on radio show and click on guest of the show, you can find all about him and his podcast. Take a listen to some of those podcasts. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Kevin.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's really been great being on here and sharing this with your listeners.
Yeah, and glad I've got all the computer gremlins kind of fixed out a little bit, except for that little hiccup during the show. But at least I figured out the whole Skype thing. It's time for a new computer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So thank you again. For those listening, Friday night I will. Of course, there's no show tomorrow night. That's my off day. And then, of course, Friday night we do have open lines where you, the listeners, can call in and share your stories, experiences, or if you got a question about the paranormal, relationships, anything. Yes, I do know more than just the paranormal. Although I've been in the field quite a long time, so I know a lot there. I've been in the field over 25 years, so
wow.
Back before it was even popular. So, and of course, having the ability to see and communicate with spirit. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you real quick, because a couple of my listeners in the chat have used apps to like communicate with like spirits. What is your thoughts on like some of those apps?
I'm familiar with them. I'm not sure about the technology that goes behind it. I'd be interested to know.
Okay, I thought I'd ask you since you know technology. You might know something, but I guess not. Who knows? Yeah. All right, but no, I was thinking about like the technology part of the apps, not so much what the apps do, but what kind of like algorithms and stuff like that they might use.
It probably reads heat signatures, and I would imagine. As far as the communication part of it, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I asked. So thank you again for coming on the show and everything like that, getting your information out there. Check out my guest Kevin Sisco's website and everything like that. And until Friday night when we have open lines, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talking the Night.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, maybe I can. All right. Yeah, it's morning here. All right. You too. Bye-bye.